So gaming, education, creative spaces, music,
Yep.
merchandise companies, all those different types of things, restorative justice, heavily connected in with young
Things
people.
Gen Z cares about.
And so I'm super excited to ask you this next question. What have you learned about Gen Z from the time that you spent with them? And I'm assuming you spent a lot of time with a lot of young people in a lot of different places.
Yeah.
Some that are like super inspired and passionate and creative and pursuing dreams, and then others that are still trying to figure that stuff out. Like, what do people need to know about this generation?
Oh man, bold statement here, but Gen Z has honestly cracked the code on self-love. Period. They have cracked the code on what you need to do in order to achieve the things that you want to do personally. Not saying all of them are sound or good, but they have at least figured out that part. They have broken the mold. And I'm looking at that just data for data. If you take if you take the last 3 generations, they have honestly cracked the code.
Yeah.
For going after the things they want, for tackling their own desires and understanding their feelings. That's another mold that they're breaking.
Can you unpack some of that?
Absolutely.
Just for the sake of our audience, I know that's some super high level thinking stuff, but if you could like maybe kind of unpack some of that for us, it'd be awesome.
Oh, absolutely. So here's what a lot of people don't understand. The whole idea of computing, going back to the beginning, like creating algorithms and making machines that can at some point think for us, right? It was all developed with biology in mind, right? And so what people don't understand is your brain is a lot smarter than your thoughts, right? So your body is a lot smarter than your thoughts as well. And so when we were being desensitized to ignore our feelings, Gen Z dives right into their feelings. And that's important because our bodies actually send us physical triggers that we have dumbed down to emotion to let us know which way to go. Period. It's like a buzzer. It's like a ding or a buzzer, ding or a buzzer. And Gen Z has figured that out. And that's what I mean by what they've taught me, as far as like making sure that I'm remembering not only listen to how I feel, but listen to my body. What do
you think has led to them being able to figure this out? Like, what's caused them to be able to discover this that other generations haven't been able to do?
Big success with people that look like them, move like them, and are their same age, and seeing the failures of people, the generations that are older than them. Period.
So would you say that's
seen
mostly
us fail and seen their friends succeed?
Okay. So by friends, you mean peers, people in their own age group who are creating, who are starting their own businesses, who are doing their own things, or
living better than their parents.
Dang,
living
that's so true.
Living happier than their parents.
Man, that's good. And you can.
That's hard for parents to hear.
They've seen marriages that are broken. They've seen families that are broken. And they see their friends on Instagram and different things like that are making hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars.
And their next day at school might be their last day at school.
Yeah, I mean, it makes me think of this girl that we know. That in the East Valley, actually, that she like makes millions of dollars, and she was talking about how people would hit her up and pay her $20,000 to make an Instagram post, and it's like what? And she's like probably 16 now. 17 now. She's been doing that for several years. And she's got millions of followers on social.
So she's not worried about probably where she's going to go to school, or
not worried about money. Bro, she's chilling. She's on a different wavelength. She's thinking about other stuff.
On a completely different
vibe. That's a good point. So you'd say social media and technology is what's kind of led to this changing of the guard generationally?
Absolutely. And I think, you've got to have both, right? You can't have one without the other. So technology led to social media. Social media was the boom. That's what did it. Because think about it. When we were younger, we had chat rooms, but it was different. It was completely different. It was a novelty and still kind of entertainment for us. It was not a lifestyle. It hadn't become a lifestyle.
And it wasn't about monetization.
No, nothing was being monetized. The only way we thought people could make money is if you were lucky enough to have one of those domain names everybody wanted, and somebody would buy it from you for billions of dollars. But that was it. That was it. Social media, and I would almost dare to say Instagram, man. Instagram like single-handedly just put all of that. Yeah, man, it put that stuff.
In what way do you see?
Ship.
Explain that a little bit too. Like, what do you see from that? And again, we're kind of dancing around this idea of how Gen Z has been able to use the tools that they've got. And I think about this when I was younger. I mean, when I was a teenager, I thought I was going to be a rock star. I was going to land a contract. We were going to make lots of money. That was so hard to do. I sometimes think like, gosh, if we would have had Instagram to be able to show people how talented we were, or YouTube, like we just kind of missed our time, you know?
Right.
But these kids have that. They don't have to go gig in clubs. They can just turn a live camera on and people can see their talent and they can blow up, you know?
Yep. Well, you know what they did?
Specifically about Instagram and monetizing and using all these tools. Like, what are you?
They did it in reverse.
They changed the game.
They did it in reverse. So what these young people started to do, instead of begging people to pay them to create content on Instagram, they just went after doing what they loved and found a way to make money after that. Like, oh my gosh, how'd you get 10 million people to follow you as you jump off of your bed and do a flip on a mattress holding a doll or something? Like, how do you get millions of people to do that? Like, well, just like you just said with the other girl, I'll tell you for 20 grand. I'll do it holding your cup for $100,000. And then all it took was one company to go, fine, sure. And it's like, what? And then the influencers were born, and they just kept going.
Yeah.
And
that's kind of the point, right? All the younger generations, they don't watch television. So advertising dollars are going to eventually have to go to social.
Yep.
And the thing about I've seen with Gen Z, like my generation, we all watched the same shows at the same time, or we recorded it on our VHS. So we were all plugged into mass media. These guys have mass media, but it's personalized. So they literally can have an audience of, like, you could say, what, like 30, 40,000. You're like, oh, that's no big deal. But they monetize that small audience, and they're just making money hand over fist from advertising dollars.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's ridiculous. It's crazy.
You look at these streaming networks with these gamers and even the Instagram people. I don't know what the Instagram split is, but I know on streaming networks, it's 50-50. So $30,000 people doesn't seem like much, but when you take $30,000 times $2.50 a month, that's a lot of money.
Just for people to watch you playing games.
Just for people to watch you play games or talk. Twitch is developed now into like the talk shows. They have people on there that don't even game. Celebrities are literally leaving Sirius XM radio and other mass media mediums to go and do their own thing on Twitch or other streaming platforms. Like Gen Z has shown the world that the power is in your hands to go do what you want. And the part that we're starting to realize now in our generation is that we've always had the power. They literally just unlocked the door. They showed us. It was almost like how we used to do how the old men used to do us back in the day. We do something wrong. Oh, give me that. You know what I mean? That's exactly what Gen Z did. We're sitting here like this. Like,
but see, that's
this
what's
is fun.
reversed.
And they're like, give me that. Yeah.
That's what's reversed. I see it. And this might, so I don't know if we have this question, but like at some point, influencers, people who want to learn how to influence Gen Z, they're going to have to come over to Gen Z's way of thinking.
Yep.
And I see a lot of people who have influence, and it's almost like they're trying to have this old archaic way of doing stuff and kind of trying to be like, hey, if you don't do it this way, somehow you're out of sorts or you're wrong. Like, are you seeing that? Like,
yes. And what I'm also seeing, and again, no shot at anyone this has happened to, and I'm seeing the people who are refusing to evolve with this process fail.
Yeah. Dang.
I mean, people have to mature themselves. You can't. People have to mature themselves to the point of allowing themselves to learn from younger people. Period.
That's hard to do, man.
Good, man.
It's hard for a lot of people to do.
That's one of our values, or one of the things that we like to teach. We call it becoming a student. And the whole idea is you have to become one who can learn from younger people. The things that you don't understand about their world, let them teach you. And it's actually an opportunity to connect with them and build a relationship and build trust, right?
Yeah.
And it kind of speaks to this whole idea that the pipeline system, the way that we have always looked at the position of authority in society, has been completely eradicated by this generation, right? Like the playing field has been completely evened up. And so now The person who has the authority is the person who has the most followers. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
That's so
the
true.
person who has the authority is the person who has enough people paying attention to him, and whatever they say is what everybody else is basically smoking, right?
Yeah.
And so that's just big facts. You know what I'm saying? Like there ain't nothing you can do about that.
Let me tell you something. There are, I don't know that I have specific names, but I've heard it so many times over the last, especially 5 years being connected to the music industry. There are people out there selling out maybe 2,000 to 3,000. No, that's extreme, but like up to 1,000 people venues every single week, right? They have like this huge local following, maybe even have a couple states on lock. They go into these record company meetings with 100,000 followers. They don't even get to sit down. They're like, but wait a minute, I just independently made like $250,000 in the last 6 months just selling out shows in, I don't know, Tucson, Chicago, blah, blah, blah. Like these are small venues. Like, hey, that's cool. Come back when you got 1 million followers.
Man.
So there's qualifications now to even be able to get those record
Chance
deals.
wrecked the game.
They are literally writing contracts.
Murdered the game with what he did. He smashed that.
That's what Gary Vee's doing to business too.
He did.
Smashed that whole thing up.
You want to hear a name that doesn't come up enough in the music industry that I think should be almost christened the one of the princes of Gen Z as far as content creation, Soulja Boy.
Really?
Soulja Boy is absolutely that video that he made with the Crank That Soulja Boy that all us old men hated, right? Because we knew it was it was all YouTube.
Man, I just thought of that. That's how I saw it
from that.
On YouTube.
He blew up from that.
The first time I saw Soulja Boy was on YouTube. Yep. I just remembered that.
I didn't even think about that.
He never gets the credit he deserves for that.
Wow.
He literally stood in front of that door with a bazooka and blew it open.
I always forget that YouTube's social media. I never think of YouTube as social media.
It's the number one social media platform in the world, right?
Yep, yeah. Number one.
And so if you're not on YouTube, you're silly at this point.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. Even I don't care if you only have 3 followers. You can have 50,000 followers on Twitch, 50,000 followers on Instagram. If you don't have a YouTube channel, you're not doing it right.
Mm. And
I don't care if you have 3 on you. You got to be on YouTube.
Yeah, we've been paying attention to YouTube, and I mean they have certain specifications before you can even monetize, right?
Yeah.
So like they ain't letting you get any piece of the pie unless you got a certain audience. It's like you have to have 4,000 hours and 1,000 followers.
Yeah.
And then you can begin to monetize 4,000 public hours and 1,000 followers. And so
that's the threshold.
Follow us on YouTube, man. Help us get there.
Yeah, for sure. I am going to repost this all the time.
Hey,
like,
I know you will.
Follow them on YouTube. Like, not Facebook. That's cool. YouTube. Go click that YouTube.
Real rap.
Yeah.
Real rap. Got to move into that space a little bit more.